You know, one of the greatest words in the Bible is whosoever. The scripture said, whosoever called on the name of the Lord shall be saved. God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth. You know what that word whosoever means? It means you, me, everybody. Everybody can get in on what Jesus did on the cross. I want to take you into a service here at night at Northside Assembly of God, Acadiana Cathedral in Crowley, where I'll be preaching a message that I believe will bless you and help you. If you feel like a reject, a loser, listen to this message today. God's going to help you right here in Crowley. God bless.
You opened the way for the world to live again. Oh, hallelujah, for all you've done. Sing it, my Savior, Redeemer. You lifted me from the miry clay. Hallelujah, Almighty, forever declaring, I will never be the same since you came here. From the everlasting to the world we live, the Father's only Son. You lived, you died, you rose again on high. You opened the way for the world to live again. Oh, hallelujah, for all you've done. Lord, you lived, you died, you rose again on high. And you opened the way for the world to live again. Hallelujah, for all you've done. Sing it again. You lived, Lord, and you died, and you rose again on high. Hallelujah, you opened the way for the world to live again. Say it. Hallelujah, for all you've done. Oh, hallelujah, yeah, hallelujah, for all you've done. We say hallelujah, hallelujah, for all you've done. Oh, come on, let's shout hallelujah, hallelujah, Lord, hallelujah, for all you've done. Hallelujah.
Scripture says in Mark 16, now when the Sabbath was past, Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James, and Salome brought spices that they might come and anoint him. Very early in the morning, on the first day of the week, they came to the tomb when the sun had risen. Entering the tomb, they saw a young man clothed in a long white robe, sitting on the right side, and they were alarmed. But he said to them, do not be alarmed. You seek Jesus of Nazareth, who was crucified. He is risen. He is not here. See the place where they laid him. But go tell his disciples and Peter that he is going before you into Galilee. There you will see him as he said to you. So they went out quickly and fled from the tomb, while they trembled and were amazed, and they said nothing to anyone, for they were afraid. Now when he arose early on the first day of the week, he appeared first to Mary Magdalene, out of whom he had cast 7 demons. She went and told those who had been with him, as they mourned and wept. And when they heard that he was alive and had been seen by her, they did not believe. Scripture goes on to say that after that he appeared in another form to 2 of them as they walked and went into the country, and later on to mourn. But I want to speak to you today about 2 final acts of compassion that you see in this story right here today. We will mention others as well, but in this story, I was touched as I read recently in the 16th chapter. Two things stood out to me. I have preached and emphasized verse 7 on a number of occasions where it says, "Go tell my disciples and Peter that he is going before you into Galilee." Notice that Peter is singled out here. And I note that because many believe that the reason the Lord emphasized, "Tell my disciples and Peter," rather than just saying, "Tell my disciples," is because we know what happened to Peter. He had denied Christ 3 times. Said, "I don't know him. I don't know him. I don't know him." And cursed. And then when the cock crowed that Jesus said would happen, he realized how he had failed miserably. The Bible said he went out and wept bitterly. I don't suppose anyone has ever felt more like a failure than Peter did at that moment. You know, this big, brash, strong, the big fisherman, one movie entitled him. I mean, Peter was the kind of guy that would just take on anybody. You know, you don't see any weakness in him in the natural as far as physical strength, as far as being a leader and out front and being bold and brash. In fact, he had said, "I'll never deny you." I mean, he thought he had it within himself to never do that. And so I don't think anyone ever felt more like a failure than Peter did. I don't think Peter normally was the kind of a guy that would go out and just weep bitterly. I don't think Peter was a crying man. I don't see him as that kind of person, but his failure was so disappointing to himself that he went out and wept bitterly. And I don't think perhaps Jesus had not said, "Tell my disciples and Peter," Peter could have possibly felt, well, he couldn't be talking about me. I'm not going, because I don't feel much like a disciple. He probably didn't intend me after I denied him. He just meant for the other guys to go. So I'm not going. I think that could have been his reaction. But Jesus specifically said, "Tell my disciples and Peter." And Peter. I see a great act of compassion and forgiveness on the part of Jesus and how he dealt with Peter after Peter's lowest point. His greatest failure in life, after being so vehement about, "I will never deny you," and then he did. Then the other great act of compassion I see in this story is Mary Magdalene. You know, it said he appeared first to Mary Magdalene, the woman out of whom he cast 7 demons. In the book of Luke chapter 8 verse 2, certain women who had been healed of evil spirits and infirmities, Mary called Magdalene, out of whom had come 7 demons. 7 demons. Now, I don't know if you and I would have wrote the story, if we would have wrote the script for what's happening here, I don't know that we would have had him appearing first to Mary Magdalene. Maybe John, the beloved disciple. Maybe Joseph of Arimathea. Maybe Nicodemus. But Mary Magdalene, this woman you cast 7 demons out of her, this woman who maybe lived kind of a shady life. We don't know if her background was as a prostitute or what the case was, but to be possessed by 7 demons, she had plenty of problems. She did not have a beautiful